All right. I'm Zach Even, and I'm here with Brooks Even, my son. And today we're going to talk about your archery elk hunt from last season, 2024.
Yeah.
Brooks, you're no stranger to shooting elk with a bow. Matter of fact, you've been archery hunting since you were going all the way back. I don't know if you consider it archery hunting. I guess you wouldn't maybe. But you've been shooting turkeys since you were 8 with a crossbow. I think you shot 2 with the crossbow when you were 8, 9.
I think so.
And then I switched you to a vertical compound bow when you were 10 maybe. Does that sound right?
Sounds right.
Yeah. And then, of course, that was in Nebraska. Borrowed your grandpa's crossbow when you first started hunting turkeys. When you were 12 here in Wyoming, that's legal hunting age for elk. And right off the bat, you started hunting elk with a bow. And I always tell you that roughly, I think it's like a 10% success rate for archery hunters on elk across the board. I told you going into last season, I said, hey, you've already shot elk when you were 12. You shot a bull when you were 13, both with a bow, both bulls. I said, if you don't get one for the next 20 years, you'll be sitting kind of in that average range. So don't be too disappointed if you don't get one, right?
Yeah.
But lo and behold, you shot another one. So today we're going to talk a little bit about that. I just want to record this just to have the story. I don't care if anyone else ever listens to this, but you'll have it. Hopefully you'll listen to it again someday. So,
Yeah.
But the first year, just to kind of go back, your first year elk hunting, and then I don't know if I'll ever post this on YouTube, but if I do, I'll maybe throw some video from these hunts in there. So yeah. If I do post it on YouTube, you think we should?
I'd say why not?
Okay. Well, if Brooks wants to, then we will. And I'll try to like dub some of the video from these shots and these hunts over this recording if I put it on YouTube. So just FYI, if anyone's ever listening to this, you might find it on YouTube. But anyway, when you were 12 years old, you shot a 6-point bull. He was broken. His 5th and 6th were broken.
Yeah.
The split on the end of his... Oh, he's right there on the wall. His right beam were
Yeah.
broken off, but it was awesome to see actually get an elk with your bow.
Yeah.
Like, it was pretty awesome. We'll just real quickly, we're primarily going to focus on your last year's hunt when you were 14. But just to kind of reflect back and go over some of your past elk hunts very quickly. You were 12 years old, first year ever hunting big game in Wyoming. The way that bull kind of went down is... I had killed my bull already earlier in the season. You had some school obligations, so you missed it.
Yeah.
You missed that weekend of hunting, which, by the way, we're kind of like extended weekend warriors. I'm a teacher. Brooks is a student. So I might take a day here and there just to extend a weekend. But that's one thing I think is kind of cool because we seem to get it done in a short amount of time and a lot of times in new areas.
Yeah.
I had somebody one time make a comment that I overheard. They said, yeah, even has his spots. I'm like, I don't really have my spots. I kind of go to different spots every year just because it's kind of fun to do. It just happened to have success in those new areas. I've never killed a bull. I hardly kill bulls in the same unit, let alone the same area.
Yeah.
We're always trying something new and different, and sometimes we get lucky. So, but this was a brand new area that we had never hunted. I had explored this area where you ended up killing your bull a little bit the weekend before. I'd never been on this mountain. I'd never stepped foot on it. I managed to kill a bull right at basically first light, the first morning ever being on this mountain. The following weekend, I took Brooks up there. It was windy, if I remember right, like really windy, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we'd been calling, and I didn't expect to be able to hear any responses. I wasn't sure if the bulls could, or the elk could even hear us calling.
Yeah.
But we got to this meadow, wind was just howling, and I was calling, not hearing any replies. Do you remember what time of day it was?
See, was
it like late morning maybe?
I was going to say it was in the morning some point.
Yeah, it's probably late morning. So I'm bugling on one edge of this meadow and never heard any replies. So we walk across the meadow and we're walking down this trail. Oh, probably 20 yards into the timber on the other side of this meadow, and I see this tree like oddly shaking more than the trees that were shaking because of the wind.
Yeah.
And I pull up my binos and I'm looking through this pine tree that's like 10 yards in front of us, and I can see this bull's ear, and once in a while I can get a glimpse of his eye. Again, I'm looking through binos, and he's actually rubbing another tree on the other side of this pine tree, and I can see it shaking. I think he was displaying. He was probably bedded down, if I were to guess.
Yeah.
And he was displaying to my calls that we had made earlier. And I thought, man, that for one, it was super lucky that we happened to spot that and we didn't just walk right up on him and blow him out of there.
Mm-hmm.
But we caught him displaying. And so I told you, I said, Brooks, you stay right here. I'm going to back up back to near where we were originally calling, and I'm going to see if we can call this bull.
Yeah.
So I remember we snuck back about 20 yards. I set you up just off the trail. I said he could come to your right, he could come to your left. Just be aware of what's going to happen here. And so I backed up, and as your dad, somebody that's usually right over your shoulder, I was a little nervous about like leaving you there all on your own. You were going to have to decide when to shoot, how to go about the whole process. But I backed up and I started calling. Like I said, it's kind of a surreal experience because I'm not there to walk you through the whole process. I'm just kind of leaving it up to you making the right decision at that point. So I backed up and I started calling. I've got it on video, I think, where you actually, I'm watching you, your body language, and all of a sudden I see you kind of look up the hill. And that's when that bull started walking up and he went above you, toward the meadow, toward the calling. It was just kind of a cool experience to watch you come the full draw and then actually shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I'm back there like feeling helpless, like I can't do anything for you. But that was your first bull. And then your second bull, that was the year before last when you were 13. We went up into an area that, again, I'd never been into ever before, just near town here, but I'd never been there. We hunted the first weekend.
Mm-hmm.
We heard some elk, saw a nice bull.
Yeah.
There were a lot of people up there. We just tried to get away from the crowds and got into some elk. But the following weekend, we went up and it snowed like, I think the night before.
Yeah, a good amount.
Yeah, and I was actually thinking that might actually like wake some of these elk up and kind of fire them up. But if anything, it kind of shut them down.
Yeah.
There was just nothing going on. And so we went up where we had hunted the weekend before, didn't see much. And then I was like, you know what, Brooks? We had hiked a 5-mile loop that morning. And we were in the middle of a 5-mile loop that afternoon. And I said, let's drop down. I think, maybe 3 inches of snow?
Yeah.
Is that about what we got? I thought, they're obviously not up here because we would have seen their tracks.
Mm-hmm.
I said, let's drop down and just see what happens. So that evening, we dropped an elevation. We actually were right behind where everybody was camped the week before.
Yeah.
Working our way through the timber. It's getting towards the evening, and I'd say we were 4 miles through that 5-mile hike on our way back to camp.
Yeah, getting pretty close.
Yep. And I was just cold calling, and we were just standing there kind of thinking, okay, about time to go back to camp, whatever. You go, Dad, what is that light spot over there? And I kind of lean over and I go, don't move. Because what was it?
Oh, it was an elk.
It was an elk. It was a bull elk that stood up. I'm thinking they stood up from their bed. They couldn't have been bedded far away.
Yeah.
And it heard me calling, so it stood up, and it was kind of coming in quietly to check things out.
Mm-hmm.
And then I realized it was actually 2 bulls. I was thinking, I do not want to take this opportunity away from Brooks, but that bull it was a 5-point bull, nice bull.
Yeah.
He was out there about
Was it? I thought it was
42 yards.
Yeah, it was like right around 40.
42 yards, something like that. And he just started feeding. And we were just standing there in the open, and I was just kind of we were in timber, but we were not prepared for this encounter, I guess, the way it was unfolding. We were just kind of stuck standing there. We couldn't.
Just kind of walked into it.
Yeah. So that bull relaxes, and he just starts feeding. And I'm thinking, man, are they going to see us? Because we're just kind of standing there in the timber. And all of a sudden, this little raghorn appears, and he comes walking toward you.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm thinking, oh, great. He's gonna bust us.
Yeah.
And he's not giving you a shot. He's kind of like frontal. And the other one was out there at 40 some yards, a little bit maybe out of your range. And at one point I remember thinking, man, this raghorn's gonna bust us. I don't want to take an opportunity from you, but I didn't see an opportunity for you. Yeah. So I ranged that 5-point out there one more time, and I came to full draw. And I remember thinking, I'm sorry, Brooks, but we need to put an elk in the freezer here. And I came to full draw, and I settled my pin on that bull. And the whole time that raghorn is kind of watching me from a distance. He was probably 35 yards away, something like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking he's going to bust any second. So I need to take this shot like as soon as I can get it on this 5-point bull that's out there feeding. Fortunately for you, that bull, he kind of fed back behind a tree and I had to let down. And I remember as I let down, I looked over at that raghorn and it was just standing there kind of trying to figure out what in the world's going on over there.
Yeah.
Well, you tell what happened after that.
Well, that bull kept walking around us, and we kept thinking,
The raghorn, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. So the 5-point walked behind some trees, didn't give me a shot, and stayed behind those trees. So I let down.
Yeah. Yeah, and then that raghorn kept kind of circling us.
Mm-hmm.
Thought he was gonna wind us.
Well, he didn't walk all the way around us.
No.
He was just kind of zigzagging back and forth and kind of looking toward us. And during that time, he was kind of walking closer too.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of interesting. So at some point, that raghorn walks up within like 20 yards of you.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, no way. After he'd seen me draw and then let down, he walked about 20 yards from you, and I'm to the right, you're to my left. Again, the 5 points, 45 yards at this point, straight ahead of us, behind a tree. That raghorn's 20 yards to our left and out a little bit. I thought he's gonna bust. He's got to.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, he kind of turns broadside and he takes about 5 steps toward that other bull. And I pull up and I range him. And I told you, I said 25. 25. I just kept whispering 25. It was like, it couldn't have been more perfect. That bull just like like it was meant to be. He'd come in, didn't get scared, couldn't figure out what was going on, turns broadside, gives me a chance to range him. I watch you come the full draw, and I'm going 25, 25, 25. And as a dad, I have to tell you again, it was kind of like that first year. I felt kind of helpless, because I can't really, because we're probably, what do you think? Are we standing 10 feet apart?
Yeah.
Something like that. Because again, we weren't like ready for this situation to unfold like it was. And so I was just like, well, hopefully Brooks can make the right decision on when to shoot here. Because you were needing to gap your 20 and 30 yard pins, and I was just whispering the yardage the whole time. And man, he made a perfect shot, and that bull turned and run off. And it was late enough. We were about a mile from camp. I thought, you know what? It's late enough. It's going to be cold again tonight. It looked like maybe it was a little far back, but not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought it was a good shot, but maybe back. Either way, I thought there's nothing we're going to lose here by waiting. And that's one thing I've discovered, that especially in the evening, but if it's going to cool down, like there's nothing wrong with just backing out and playing it safe. To me, it looked like a really good shot, but there were, I thought, man, maybe it was a little far back. It ended up being like in the back, maybe third of the lungs.
Yeah.
But you punched right through both lungs. Arrow came out the other side. You were shooting like 50 pounds using a cut on contact Magnus Stinger broadhead. Just perfect for that whole scenario. Full penetration right out the other side. We thought we'd play it safe, went back to camp, found it the next day and packed it out. It was a pretty cool deal.
Yeah.
But what gets me about every time we go out, especially like just thinking back to my thoughts on that hunt, it seems so impossible to even sometimes find a bull where we're hunting, so close to town and with all these other people around. It's like, man, what are our chances of actually getting this done?
Mm-hmm.
And then besides that, what are my chances of getting this done hunting with a 13-year-old kid?
Yeah.
It seems like so impossible. And then the next thing you know, you're standing over a dead bull and you've accomplished your goal. It's just kind of crazy to me, I guess. But so leading in the last season, you had 2 elk already as a 14-year-old under your belt.
Yeah.
A broken off 6-point and a raghorn. Again, we were going into a brand new area this last season that we had literally never stepped foot in. Mm-hmm. Looked at it on maps and whatever, and that's about it. But we had our 2 llamas, which were now 2 years old, old enough to pack a little bit of weight. We pull in this trailhead. We'd never been there, trying to figure out where to park, get back into where we wanted to go. We had about 6 miles to go.
Yeah.
As we were going in there, it was kind of a good sign. We were kind of trying to figure out this trail as we went, because the trail was good for couple miles.
Yeah.
And then it got a little sketchy.
Mm-hmm.
We found out later we actually weren't on the right trail at that fork in the road about 2 miles in. We did run into an elk, though. I just stopped and started cold calling middle of the day and had a bull come in. We never did see him.
Yeah.
He barked at us and took off. I was hoping to hear something bugle, but instead it just came in quietly, saw us before we saw it, and it took off.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how much detail we want to go into here, but we kind of went down the wrong trail for a little while.
Yeah.
Figured out where we were going and where we needed to be. Again, we had these 2 llamas. We were bushwhacking through a complete mess.
Yeah.
Thick, gnarly junk. As we were in probably 5 miles, we ran into that outfitter that was on his way out.
Yeah.
So that was an interesting experience. We pulled way off the trail. We were in this big meadow, and we took the llamas probably 30, 40 yards off of this trail. So not to interfere or spook this outfitter's horse and his client.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't even think they were going to acknowledge us at first.
Yeah.
Just because they didn't like the fact we were even in there.
Mm-hmm.
And this outfitter finally said something about, well, where are you going to camp? And we kind of told him our plan. And he was the client never said a hello, nothing to us. They just they thought they had this place all to themselves, and they were upset that we were even in there. I'm sure they rode in the whole way because there were no camps.
Yeah.
So they rode in for the day, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we ran into this disgruntled outfitter, and I told him you didn't have to worry about us blowing this area up or anything. We knew what we were doing. So we went in that night, 6 miles.
Yeah.
I was just kind of looking at the Onyx satellite view on my phone, trying to find an open meadow where we could camp near water for the llamas.
Mm-hmm.
Ended up bushwhacking through, the gnarliest, junkiest stuff to get back to this meadow. Well off the beaten path. Set up camp back there. Got the llamas staked in. And then, let's see. So that was the first night.
Yeah.
And we went to bed, right?
Yeah.
So you and I, we'd both killed elk with our bows before, and I've always wanted to commit to deer hunting for once in my life. I always get distracted by elk, though. Anytime that I decide I want to try to hunt deer, I end up hunting elk. Well, our plan was to hike to this peak I'd found on a map in the dark the next morning and set up there and glass for mule deer.
Yeah.
And see if we could see any muleys. Next morning, alarm goes off. What did we do?
Well, started bushwhacking through more junk, get up onto the top of this peak. It was way steeper and way thicker than we imagined it was going to be.
It was like we were grabbing onto branches and trees and literally just climbing up this mountain.
Mm-hmm.
So we got to the top. It was pretty cool view.
Yeah. Took some pictures.
Didn't see any muleys.
Yeah.
And there were elk bugling in the adjoining drainage to us.
Yeah.
Which we were good. We didn't go right in after them. It's like, nope, we're going to sit up here and we're going to glass for mule deer. Because a friend of mine, he'd hunted about 6-7 miles from there in the past for deer. So I knew there was a chance of finding deer in this area.
Mm-hmm.
So I was going to commit to sitting there that morning and glassing for deer, which we did. We ignored the elk. We were good. And we just glassed for deer all morning. And what did we see? Nothing. So eventually, it was probably 11-ish, would you say? We hiked down to the saddle.
Mm-hmm.
Hiked down to the saddle to see if we could see any, get a different angle on this country that we were glassing, basically, right? Yeah. And you ended up taking a little nap. And the whole time you were napping, there was a bull in that adjoining drainage that just kept bugling.
Yeah.
And I thought, man, late morning, early afternoon, that thing has to have a hot cow in there. And this is the first week of the season, early September, right?
Yeah.
So it's not uncommon for those bulls to be pretty quiet during the middle of the day, but this bull kept bugling. And so when you woke up from your nap, I was like, Brooks, there's a bull down there and he keeps bugling. What do you want to do? What'd you say?
I just thought we should go down and try to find him.
You're like, we don't have anything else to do today.
Yeah.
So that's all I needed. I'm like, okay. So again, country we'd never been into. This was going to be a drainage that was next to the drainage we had camped in. So in my head, I was thinking, this could end up being a lot of work.
Yeah.
But, whatever. I have a tendency of worrying about where I'm at later.
Yeah.
It's all about if the elk are there right now, that's where I need to be. So
Yeah.
So we dropped into that drainage. Again, that took us a while.
Yeah.
All this country it's the steepest, thickest junk I think I've ever hunted in.
Yeah.
Granted, as we dropped into that drainage, we had some meadows and whatnot that we were able to go through that made getting around fairly easy. But once we got further into that drainage, it just got super steep. Everything was steep. So you're always sliding and crawling around, and we get down into kind of some cool, like the geology of that drainage was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It looked like kind of concrete and rocky. It was just kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually we got down to where we were just below where that bull was bugling.
Yeah.
Do you remember crawling up that hill to try to get up toward where those bugles were coming from?
Yeah. And then didn't it kind of just drop off again once we were up on top of that?
I believe so, but getting up that thing, I was about halfway up it. I was in one of those situations where I was like, okay, it's going to be just as easy or just as hard to keep going up as to try to go down. There was like no going down at that point. And I was thinking, gosh, this didn't look that steep from below, but there's only one way to go here, and that's continuing to go up and try not to slip, because if you slip, you weren't going to stop. So we end up getting to the top. And I don't think we bumped those elk. I think they just naturally started to wander off.
Mm-hmm.
I think they knew where they wanted to go, and this bull kept bugling, but he started moving off and away from us. So we ended up kind of tailing him. He dropped into another little, I'd say like a little finger drainage.
Yeah.
Kept bugling down in there, and we were trying to decide, because it was so steep off that other side. There was no getting down that without making a bunch of noise.
Mm-hmm.
So we just sat there, and we were thinking about, as he's down there bugling, we were trying to think of our approach. And I thought, what we need to do is be cautious of this wind, and we need to go down into the bottom of the drainage and up that drainage that he's in, because there's no going over this ridge that we're on. It's just too steep off the other side.
Yeah.
But man, he was bugling just right there somewhere. We just couldn't quite see him on that other side. Then what happened?
Well, and so then we kind of started crawling our way back down, getting into that drainage. And we were almost to the trees. What do you say at the bottom?
So we're working our way down kind of this little finger ridge. We're working our way down it. And we kind of walk into some timber. And all of a sudden that bull bugles. And I thought, it has to be a different bull, because he had very quickly went from the next little finger drainage over. He went down to where we were trying to get to. And now he was working his way up the drainage that we happened to be in.
Yeah.
And I could not believe he had done that quick, but it had to been the same bull, because it was the only thing bugling in that drainage at that time.
Yeah.
And then keep in mind too, at this point, it was getting toward it was later in the afternoon at this point. So then what happened?
So then we're kind of standing there on the hillside, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that bull just keeps walking up, making a whole bunch of noise. Didn't we think he was sound like a bear?
Yeah. I never heard a bull growl like that.
Yeah.
Like, first we saw his cow. Did she have a calf?
I think so.
I think so. And they're probably 60 yards from us or so.
Yeah.
The cow's working her way up, and that bull's behind her bugling, and he starts growling. And I mean, I thought, that doesn't sound like any bull I've ever heard growl.
Yeah.
I thought, no way, that's a bear. But it sounded like it.
Yeah.
And he was also rubbing and scraping and he was displaying for big time. You could kind of hear it. We couldn't quite see him. We could see the cow, but we couldn't see him. So I just thought, we need to do something to try to get this bull in your range, because at that point, I thought, if he falls that cow, they're going to be about 60, 65 yards away, and that's going to be too far for you.
Yeah.
And we're kind of stuck there. Again, this all unfolded so quick. We just barely had made our way to the edge of this timber, and we're kind of stuck on this hillside with a few scattered trees around us. And I thought, man, we can't move, because there's now this cow and calf straight across from us in plain view.
Mm-hmm.
That bull's down behind the trees to our left and lower, and he's working his way up. And I thought, when he pops out, he's going to be out of your range. So I need to do something to get him over here. So I kind of turn over my shoulder and I start calling a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And it worked. He started actually working his way toward us. Now he's right in the bottom of this little finger drainage that we're on or in. And he starts working his way right up the bottom, and I see him, and he's a pretty decent 6 point.
Yeah.
He starts walking up right below us, and he gets to, I think it was like, was it 40?
Yeah, I think it
42, something
yeah,
like that.
It was like right at 40.
Yeah, so Brooks and I are standing here on this hillside with a few pines around us, trying to hold still, and he's looking around, trying to figure out where that calling was coming from. And I'm ranging him. I told you 40 or whatever it was, 41 yards.
Yeah.
And you come to full draw, and I'm like, whenever you're ready. And you weren't shooting, and you tried to tell me something, and I wasn't sure what you were trying to tell me, but I'm like, shoot anytime you're ready.
Yeah.
And what was the problem? Why weren't you shooting?
Well, when I knocked my arrow, I had forgot to flip up the arrow rest.
Mm-hmm.
So then as I drew, well, it flips up on its own as you draw.
Right. So usually we cock it with our thumbs. That's just out of habit, right? I do that every time, whether I'm target shooting or I'm hunting.
Yeah, same, except for this one time.
Right.
It's the one time I forget. Yeah, and so then the arrow's off to the side of the rest between it and the
riser. Right. So you're at full draw with an arrow sitting off your rest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, I can't shoot. I don't know what it's. What
you're not going to hit him.
Yeah, I'm not going to hit him. So I had to let down.
Yeah.
And we'll try to fix it. At that point, they were kind of
onto us, I think.
Yeah. Starting to smell us, they kind of were getting to know we were there and started to walk off.
Yeah, you let down, and that bull kind of walked over that cow, and then they didn't like bust out of there.
No.
They just knew something wasn't right. They couldn't quite figure out what we were doing over there, what we were.
Yeah.
So you couldn't get redrawn and get a shot off.
Mm-hmm.
So that arrow being off the rest cost you on that one. But as I said before, it was starting to get later in the afternoon at that point toward evening. And we actually heard another bull start to sound off just down the drainage from us, right?
Yeah.
So I was like, well, let's not go after that bull. He knows something's up. And I thought, there's another bull just down from us. Let's just go check him out.
Yeah.
So we continued down to the bottom of the drainage, crossed the creek, up the other side, got into this other patch of timber, and that bull continued to call.
Yeah.
And we continued to kind of work our way toward him, checking our wind, making sure everything was still good. And we got into a spot that I thought, well, you had enough shooting lanes here. It was open enough. I thought it felt like a spot a bull would feel comfortable coming into. We were close enough to him. I thought, let's try it.
Yeah.
So we kind of set up, took our packs off, took the quivers off our bows, kind of got situated there. And I remember before I ever made a peep, that bull was still calling. And I asked you, Brooks, what's your minimum? What'd you say?
I think I said, really take anything I can get.
Well, I remember you tell me, as long as it's not tiny.
Yeah.
It's what you said.
Just anything decent. I'll take it.
And I was thinking, okay, I know where we're at here. We have to come up and over this ridge with the llamas to get to this elk. It's not going to be easy, but you know what? To get my 14-year-old the opportunity at an elk, I really didn't care what you shot.
Yeah.
So I was hoping, of course, I hope this is a decent bull if we're going to shoot this sucker in here. But I was pretty confident. I told you, I said, I'm going to call this bull in. So what's your minimum? And that's when you told me, as long as it's not tiny. So we had ranged a few possible lanes. So we kind of had an idea, what our ranges were. And I started letting out a few subtle calls. And we were patient and just waited.
Yeah.
And within 30 seconds of my first calls, I could tell that bull was coming.
Yeah.
He was already closing the distance. And again, we've got GoPro footage of this stuff, so maybe if I put this on YouTube, I'll put some of that footage in right here. But that bull come in, and he took his time. I mean, he didn't come running or charging in, but he took his time. Eventually he showed up in that first shooting lane, which is the lane I was hoping he'd just come into broadside, but he was walking straight toward us.
Yeah.
In that lane. And I knew at that point he's slightly downhill of us, and he's slightly right of where the very subtle breeze was taking our scent.
Yeah.
And my fear was, man, if he keeps going to the left, he's going to wind us. But where he was, I was like, no problem yet. But, man, I hope he turns broadside soon, because it's not gonna be too much longer, and he's gonna wind us. So then what happened?
Let's see, it was about then that I came to full draw as he started walking.
Yeah, so he's kind of
getting
walking toward us, and he's about 50 yards out, coming to about 45, and he turned to the left to kind of start circling us, and he went behind some timber, and you came to full draw.
Yeah. And he kind of kept walking.
To the left.
Yeah.
Our left.
Wouldn't give me a good shot.
Oh, he's behind a lot of that timber, too,
yeah.
at that point.
Yeah. And then he came, that was kind of almost right where the wind was going, where he stopped for the last time. And that was right behind, his vitals were just behind a tree.
And he was just standing there.
Just standing there.
So you're like 3 feet to my right.
Yeah.
I'm just to your left. And I had a perfect shot on him.
Yeah.
Like, shoot. And he's just standing there. And you don't have a good angle on him.
Yeah.
I had the perfect angle on him. But of course, I'm hoping you're going to be able to shoot this bull. And it was a decent 6-point.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, you need to take, I think I said take him.
Yeah.
Or, yes, it's a shooter. I don't think I said that, but I think I said something like, yeah, you need to take him.
Yeah.
And, or he's a good one, something like that. So he stands there and he actually starts bugling, I think, at that point.
Mm-hmm.
And you're at full draw. You have no shot. Do you remember what was going through your head at that time? I'm just curious, like, were you nervous? Or, I mean, as your dad, I was excited for you.
Yeah.
I was a little bit nervous for you and excited. But what was going through your head?
I was kind of thinking, I was like, should I let down? Should I not? Because I was at full draw for like a minute at that point, would you say?
Yeah.
And so I was like, should I let down? And I was like, well, I mean, if he takes one more step, I can get a shot, because like I could see part of his front leg. It was like he needed to be like a foot farther, and I could have made a shot on him.
Mm-hmm.
So I was kind of like, well, I'll just keep going and hopefully he'll take one more step. And then I was just kind of going to wait for you to stop him at that point. And I felt pretty confident making that shot. I was like, I mean, if he takes one more step, it's in the bag.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'd communicated enough before that you know that I will try to stop a bull.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's a big part of like going into a hunt with somebody too, is kind of having, I guess, those methods of communication kind of established before the hunt.
Yeah.
To listen to me, or at least be aware of, like, if I'm giving you hand signals on like let down.
Yeah.
Or stay at full draw, or just, everything is going as planned. Be patient. We even have like communications to let you know if we ever get separated, like when you need to like come up to me or come toward me as the caller, and vice versa, and everything else. But anyway, that's beside the point. But so you're at full draw, that bull standing there. It seemed like forever. One thing I've found from filming these encounters in the past is in a full draw and reaching my anchor to the time I shoot, it seemed like an eternity.
Yeah. And
I remember in that moment, I was thinking, you need to hurry up, like before that bull moves or walks out of your shooting lane. Like, you need to hurry up. And then finally, it feels like I get a shot. When I go back and I watch that video later, from the time I come to full draw to the time I shoot, it's like 3 seconds.
Yeah.
And it's like, just because that time feels like it's taken forever in your mind at the moment, it's actually going by slower than what you think. So I've learned, like, even though it feels like it's taken an eternity, just keep taking your time. Everything's okay. Not as much time's passing as you feel like it is. Anyway, so you're at full draw, elk bugles, you're waiting for him to move.
Yeah.
Finally, he starts walking to our left again.
Yeah.
And again, I'm just trying to judge like what your shooting lane might be, since you're standing there to my right.
Yeah.
He starts walking to the left, and I let out a cow call, and that stopped him.
Yeah.
Good shot, Brooks. Good shot, yeah.
Man, I look far back.
feels like forever. Like you stop him, I'm just holding right on him, getting ready. I'm like, okay, that feels good. Start pull the trigger, Pop shoots him, and he starts to run off.
So how far was he?
25-ish?
Oh, I was thinking he was like a little
Closer.
further than that.
Oh, farther?
Like 32.
Okay.
But
it was somewhere in there.
yeah, because I think I was whispering to you what the yardage was again.
Yeah. Because I think we had...
I wasn't ranging him at that time, but I had ranged some trees earlier.
Because that tree that he had stopped behind was one of the ones that we used.
Yeah, it was like 30 yards, so I knew he was probably 32-ish.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, so, I mean, it feels like forever, but it was just a split second.
Did you feel like you were getting shaky at any point at that point, or were you still pretty solid?
I kind of thought I would be, but I felt completely solid at that moment.
Now, were you in the moment, like knowing you had to execute a good shot here, or were you like, was your heart pounding a million miles an hour and you were just super excited and nervous, or?
Kind of both, more to the point of like having to make a good shot.
You just knew you had to get that shot done, right?
Which is kind of how, felt like last year as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'm not as excited right in the moment. It's more for me, it's like I have to make a good shot here.
Right.
And then I kind of get excited after.
Yeah, no, that's cool.
Yeah.
Now, this bull that's actually on the wall behind us, that was kind of a unique opportunity. The only reason I mention it is because it's like similar. And I was just like ice cold on the shot.
Yeah.
Because it all unfolded so quick. I wasn't ready for it, and it unfolded so quick. In the moment of the shot, I was just like calm, collected, just no problem.
Yeah.
But man, the moment I saw that thing wheel to run and I saw the blood explode from his chest, man, what an adrenaline dump after the shot.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Never felt anything like that before. So, but yeah, it's best if you can stay kind of calm during the shot, obviously.
Yeah.
And so for you, it was more exciting after the fact.
Mm-hmm.
That's when the adrenaline kind of started.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I started getting excited when I first saw the bull kind of coming through the timber. And then just that, again, being your dad and kind of like up to that point, I can guide you hands-on, like walk you through things. But during that moment of the shot, it's kind of like all on you.
Yeah.
So it's just kind of a unique experience for me, being that I'm just like hands off, everything's on you at this point.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you and just FYI, we got you using a clicker release that season. It's actually a Scott wrist strap index finger release, but it's got a click built into it, and that was to keep you from flinching and coming forward on your shot.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, it didn't register to you, but I remember hearing that thing click before the shot, and then boom, shot goes off. So I knew you were executing really well. You were just nice, steady squeeze, because you didn't punch that trigger. I heard the click, and then boom, the shot breaks like a second later.
Yeah.
So that was kind of cool. And we had a lighted knock, and I could see that it was a good shot.
Mm-hmm.
Your initial reaction, you were like, oh, shoot, dang it. Like you thought you hit it too far back. Is that right?
Well, because he moved a little bit right as I shot, so it shifted slightly, but it was just fine shot.
It was still a good shot.
Yeah.
So using 60-pound bow, we
Yep.
were using an arrow that's about 470 grains. It's my arrow, which was kind of cool because it's the first year that I tuned your 60-pound bow so that it would shoot my exact arrows that I shoot out of my 70-pound bow.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of convenient that we can share arrows in the mountains if something ever happened. And matter of fact, your draw length's getting long enough now because as a 14-year-old, you were over 6 foot tall. If we needed to, we could probably swap bows.
Yeah. Make it
which
work.
Is convenient. Yeah. So you were using a rear deploy expandable sever broadhead 1.5 cut.
Yeah.
You hit that bull, takes off, and at first you thought, oh shoot, that wasn't a great hit.
Yeah.
But I tried to reassure you, you're good. So we gave him what, half hour?
Yeah.
Before we ever moved down there.
Yeah.
And then when we started tracking, blood wasn't great, but we were seeing blood.
Mm-hmm.
And just judging by the tracking, I could tell it looked like the broadhead had punctured out the other side at least.
Mm-hmm.
Not a complete pass through, but it made it out the other side.
Yeah.
What happened after that?
Well, because we were getting, 200 yards away at that point.
And moving super slow and being
Yeah.
super methodical and cautious about making sure we weren't going to lose this blood trail.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't just spouting blood like I've seen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was kind of drops here and there.
And we're kind of, it's like 200 yards, minimal blood, starting to get a little nervous. Did this thing go down, or is this thing
In thick grizzly country,
miles away,
miles from our camp, in a place we'd never been, and it's
Mhm.
starting to get toward dark.
Yeah, it's getting definitely evening at this point.
And to be honest with you, that's about half hour into that trek. I don't know if it was half hour, but we moved really slow and methodical.
Yeah.
And there come a point where we had gone close to 200 yards where that little bit of doubt started sinking in, like, like I hope this doesn't end up being like an all-night thing.
Yeah. Yeah, and so we kind of keep going, like, getting nervous at this point, and we get up on top of this little
Just a
crest
rise.
in the hill,
Yeah.
little rise, kind of like looking like,
Still in the thick
Where's-
timber.
like, where's the blood go? Like, we're kind of, like, there's blood like halfway up the hill. Now we're on top trying to find any sign, just kind of like,
Trying to find where that blood trail went.
doubting a little bit at this point. Then, I look over, and, well, just on the other side of the rise, between one tree sticking up and then one that was laying down, he was laying right between them.
What'd you see first? Like his
This is
hide or his antler or what?
just like
Both
the
at the same time.
back of his hide, just the lighter fur.
So what was the feeling that went through you at that point?
And it's like relief and excited.
Relief and excitement. I remember you were in front of me and you just turned your eyes really wide and you go, I see him. He's up there. And first, of course, my first thought is, great, but is he dead or down or is he standing there?
Yeah.
But it didn't take me long to figure out he was dead. So pretty awesome. So we
Yeah.
walked up on him and nice little 6-point bull.
Yeah.
Pretty awesome. So we took some photos real quick, started cutting them up. We knew we were in grizzly country and we knew it was getting late. So quickly got him taken care of and cut up and boned out. And I think actually we didn't entirely bone him out. We just quartered him.
Yeah.
Got the back straps off, tenderloins out, all that good stuff. We actually hauled the quarters and the head over to the edge of a little creek,
Yeah.
knowing that more than likely we were going to, well, maybe possibly come in another direction for the rest of the meet, but knowing we wanted to get away from the carcass in case a grizzly came in that night.
Yeah.
So we each had probably 25, 30 pounds of meat on us at that point. I think we took the back straps, tenderloins, some other meat out with us, knowing that we were going to come back with the llamas the next morning and get the rest. So long hike up and out of that drainage.
Yeah.
And then again, we'd never been into this country, and I was just looking at my map and I'm like, well, this little finger ridge will take us right down to our camp.
Yeah.
So we start down that ridge, and that was the thickest, junkiest crap I've ever walked through.
Yeah.
It was just so thick. You
Just
just,
these little 6-foot tall pine trees.
just ducking down to go
everywhere.
under logs and hopping up and over stuff and trying to. It got to the point where you're not walking around stuff. You're just kind of putting your hands in front of your face and you're just plowing through stuff. It's just like we needed to make progress to get down this thing.
Yeah.
Mountain.
Let's see, it was probably, I think it was 11 at that point. Right.
11 p.m. at night. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was getting late,
Mhm.
obviously pitch black.
So we made our way down that ridge, got to the river bottom, managed to work our way, kind of got turned around a little bit in the bottom, had to look at our map to see exactly where we were. Walked up on camp, and I had my high beam on my headlamp. I remember shining that thing across that meadow and catching the eyes of a llama reflecting back in the beam. And it took me just a few beats. When I didn't see the other one's eyes, I immediately got concerned.
Yeah.
because we had our 2 llamas staked out in this meadow, separate from one another. Couldn't get tangled around anything or each other.
Yeah.
But I thought that's weird that I can only see one set of llama eyes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. It was like the second that you turned your headlamp over that way, I was like, saw one. Yeah, less than half a second later, I'm like, where's the other?
And what was the deal? What happened?
Well, and so we walk up, and the one's standing there fine. The other one's laying on the ground right next to it.
So in the time that we had left camp before dark that morning, and now it was midnight, between that time, sometime that llama had died. And it was rigor mortis. It was stiff already, so I figured it died long earlier in the day. But still a mystery to me. I've talked to a guy that we bought the llamas from. When I tell this story, it's always kind of like, people always ask, well, what happened to it? And even this day, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Best thing I can guess is that it got tangled in its tether. And maybe, I've seen that llama would get tangled up in his lead rope in a matter of minutes. Like, you leave it tied to a tree and you leave to find a creek crossing, you come back and she's just wrapped up like a pretzel.
Yeah.
And when that happens, she just goes completely limp and just lays there like, help me.
Yeah.
And you can grab her, manhandle her. She lets you do whatever until she feels like she's free, and then she just hops up, explodes up.
Yeah.
So I don't know if she got wrapped up somehow and laid down possibly on her neck or whatever, suffocated, and maybe got untangled and rolled out of it as she died, or if something walked through camp and spooked her and she took off running and hit the end of that rope and broke her neck. I don't know. They seem like too strong of an animal to have that happen, but complete mystery. So we're bummed out. Heck of a way to end the evening. We're back at camp at midnight and we have one dead llama.
Yeah.
So we end up going to bed, waking up the next morning, load up the remaining llama. People always ask me when I tell them the story, well, what do you do with the other llama? It's like, well, you just kind of leave them. We were way off the beaten path.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, as I was looking her over that night before, I was thinking, how did this happen? And I actually looked to see if maybe she'd been shot. Again, I know that outfitter wasn't happy that we were in there, and I was like, no, who knows? You never know. Maybe he was a jerk enough that he would do something to our llamas. But we were so far off the beaten path. I don't think anyone could have found our camp if they wanted to.
Yeah.
It was just so remote. It was so tough getting back into where we were. There was just no way anyone would ever known we were back there. But I did check her out and didn't see any indication that anyone had shot her or anything like that. But we just left her. We were far enough off the trails. I think technically you're supposed to take livestock like 200 feet off of any trails or anything like that if they die when you're out. So we loaded up Pacific. That's the remaining llama.
Yeah.
And our camp, the elk meet, and we hiked 6 miles out that morning.
Yeah.
6 or 7 miles out. Managed to find the right trail, the trail that we were trying to find on the way in. And first thing I did when we got out is I called the guy who we had bought the llamas from the year before and asked like what his thoughts were on the llama dying, and he had no good guesses. We drove around to another trailhead neither one of us had ever been to before.
Yeah.
And by the time we took off,
It's kind of like the opposite side of the mountain.
yeah, so it gave us easier access to that drainage, because I knew after the night before when we had come down that ridge, I knew there was no taking llamas up that thing
Yeah.
to get to that elk. There's no way. So we thought we would drive around to another trailhead that would take us up that drainage. It was going to be a 7-mile hike one way. And we took off at about 3:30 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
So I knew what we were getting ourselves into.
Yeah.
But again, a trail we'd never been on before. And it was just a grind. I just knew we had to do that.
Yeah.
There's no way around it. We need to go in and get the rest of that elk. So it kind of reminded me of, there's been a few times in life where I had like a task in front of me where it was just like, you didn't think about what you were about to do. You just thought about like putting one step or one foot in front of the other. And it's a grind. Kind of reminds me of times when I was on Denali and other times on certain pack outs where it was like you're just completely miserable and overwhelmed by the task at hand, and it's like, well, you just have to you're gonna have to do it, just one foot in front of the other.
Yeah.
And so we take off at 3:30, 7 miles ahead of us. We ran into some guys coming out on horses, and told them what we were up to, and I remember they were kind of like, oh wow, well, good luck. Be safe. They couldn't believe we were going in that far. So we went in 7.5 miles.
Yeah.
Got to where we had stashed the meat the night before, right at sundown.
Yeah. It was getting late.
Yep. And
was that trail getting down in there? It was not
it's not maintained.
Trail.
No. The trail was there, but it hadn't been maintained. There was all kinds of deadfall and big trees across it, and just getting down and around those trees with that llama, it wasn't easy.
Yeah. If it was just us, I mean, we would have been completely fine. Yeah, but with the llama, you have to find a way to get around all the deadfall.
Yeah, and I don't know how those guys did it with their horses. I mean,
yeah,
but I'm sure they didn't have an easy time either. But we got in there to the elk before sundown, which was my goal, and got it processed. Again, being in grizzly country, I'd rather work in daylight than in dark, obviously.
Yeah. Got
it deboned. Both of us had a pretty good load, and then the llama, again, she was fairly young, so we weren't loading her up like we would an adult llama. She probably had maybe 40 pounds on her.
Yeah.
Maybe. About half what you'd put on a bigger llama, a little less than half. Yeah. Got out of there. It was after dark by the time we started hiking.
Yeah. Started walking our way back up the hill, and that just took forever. It just felt like it went on and on going back up there. Because the whole time you have your headlamps scanning for grizzly bears. So you can't even just like put your head down and just walk. You have to like be standing up and like looking the whole time.
Right.
So it gets old fast.
Yep. So we both I had my 10 millimeter and a can of bear spray. You had a can of bear spray.
Yeah.
And I think I carried the bear spray on my finger the whole way out. And I was just constantly yelling ahead, like, hey, bear, coming up the hill, bear, like constantly talking. And the thing that got me was twice during that hike up that ridge, I saw eyes in my headlamps, or the headlamp beams off the side of the trail. And it ended up being, your heart kind of stops for a second, but it ended up being deer, doe deer each time. And I thought to myself, well, I'm sitting here yelling and talking and making noise nonstop. That deer didn't seem to care at all. Is a bear going to care?
Yeah.
And again, I try to take all precautions necessary, especially having you up there, because I've hunted grizzly country by myself for years and years and run into all kinds of grizzlies and everything. But having you up there was a little bit different. I wanted to make sure that we could avoid any contact with the dumb things if possible. So made noise the whole way up and out of there, and the llama did pretty good considering, she'd put on a few miles that day as well.
Yeah.
And had a load on her the whole time. So we get to the top of the ridge and we start zigzagging our way back down toward where the truck was parked, and we were probably a mile from the trailhead.
Yeah.
And that poor llama, she'd had enough. We didn't weight her down very bad, but she'd had a long day. At that point, we'd gone, over 20 miles.
Yeah.
So over 20 miles in one day.
It's like, 14 with that round trip, and then
that
6
was
miles out in the morning.
So we're like within shot of the truck, and she starts to lay down. We're like, come on, just a little bit further, girl. Yeah. You were kind of pushing from the back, and I was pulling from the front. And we'd get her going again, then she would lay down. She's like, I'm good. I'm done.
Every time she just lay down a little bit longer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was tired, but we were so close to the truck. And like I said, it's not like we had a ton of weight on her. She just had enough at that point. It was a long day. Got down to the truck at, I think it was 11 p.m.-ish.
Yeah.
So just before midnight. And that was a relief. We'd done it. So we had lost the llama. We had gone over 20 miles to get that camp out and to go in and get that elk out of there. But it's one of those things where you tell that story to people and they're like, man, what a mess, It's like, but to me, it's always worth it.
Yeah.
I've been in some situations where it's just like, yeah, you're not comfortable. That wasn't a lot of fun, but after the fact, you can feel good about what you accomplished. And
Yeah.
we got all your elk out of there in good shape, and the meat was all good still. It was cool that day in the shade, and the night before it definitely got chilly. So a lot of work.
Yeah.
And your third bull elk with a bow as a 14-year-old, and you earned that one, I think.
Yeah.
Put on over 20 miles that day. And then I don't know how many miles we hiked actually the night before, because we had hiked up that dang mountain into that other drainage and then up and out of there through all that junk.
Yeah.
So we definitely earned that one, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
it was a lot.
So how'd you feel when we got out?
Well, it was, I mean, because you're like, oh, you could stop and take a water break or a snack or whatever on your way out, but I was kind of at the point where it's like, I'd just rather not stop until we're like, I know we're done.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's always that kind of grind. Like I said, just one foot in front of the other. I'm not going to stop for a snack. I just want to get out of here.
Yeah.
But of course there's times where you have to stop and eat and drink just to make sure that you're taking care of yourself. But yeah, there's times where I grind through wanting to stop just to get it over with, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got to commend you, because like I said, as a 14-year-old kid at that point, to go through what you did, you know, it wasn't an easy thing.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a heck of a morning, the morning you shot your bull, just to get to the top of that mountain and then down into that drainage with all the crawling around that we did, and slipping and sliding and literally crawling up terrain, and then to make such a good shot on that bull was awesome.
Yeah.
And then to get out of there, and then to find that llama had died. I mean, yeah, it was a lot of work, but you did it and never complained at all. Never showed any signs of stopping.
Yeah.
I think that might have been the first year hunting with you that I felt finally like I needed you to like stop and slow down once in a while to give me a break. I think we'd finally reached that point, because at that point you were 14 now, and you'd been doing lots of cross country training and stuff leading up to that. And I felt like finally maybe I wasn't in better shape than you.
Oh, man.
And you got those long legs and stuff now. So it was harder keeping up with you than in years past. So, but yeah, it was pretty awesome. Well deserved for sure.
Yeah.
And like I said, trips like that always leave you with a story to tell, right?
Yeah.
If nothing else. So
Yeah. Sure.
definitely earned that one. Well, so were there any portions of that trip that you feel like were your favorite? Like, what was your favorite part of that whole experience, the whole trip?
I don't know. I mean, it was, a great trip. Definitely just a
Sense of accomplishment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So whole trip was, well worth it. And I thought it was great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think my favorite part was just watching that bull come in and you making the shot.
I think that'd be at the top of my list. But
And also when you turned to me and you were like wide-eyed and you're like, he's right there, I see him. That was probably the highlight. So
yeah.
Low light was obviously finding the llama. But were there any lessons you took away from that hunt?
Oh, just kind of, I don't know, keep going. If I have to get something done, then don't stop.
Grind it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, cool, Brooks. So, well, thanks for taking the time. I know it's hard to make time when you're practicing and doing other things in the summer, but you're going to pole vault practice and swimming and doing all kinds of stuff, working.
Yeah.
So, but thanks for taking the time to do this today.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. That's
Thanks,
it.
buddy. Yep.